Good evening. I would like to open the Select Board meeting of August 22nd, 2022. It is 6:01. And if I could get somebody to waive the
So moved.
Second.
roll call.
Clock eye. Galvin eye.
Nichols eye.
Waitman, aye.
Benoit aye. And if we could stand to read the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Move it up.
I wasn't even turned around yet.
I know, I did realize that people hadn't turned it, like, move it.
And we waived something that nobody even knows. It was the,
I know.
the reading of the Zoom regulations.
Oh.
We just zoomed right through that.
Motion to approve treasury warrant 23-4 and payroll 23-PW4.
Can we take those
If I
separately?
may, through the chair. I did go through the warrants today, and there's a couple of items on there just to bring to your attention. As you can see, the grand total for the warrants is roughly $617,000. A couple of big ticket items on there, generally around $238 to $250. And though these are both recurring payments, but by the quarter, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. One is for the sewer treatment and transport for sewer. That's $119,506.72. And the other one, again, another recurring, would be for the Bay Path Vocational Assessment, which is $187,888. Again, those are recurring. The sewer one does fluctuate, but I believe the Bay Path stays the same. The last one we had that I wanted you to see was for Elevated Consultants. Those are the folks in charge of the Hubbardston Tower. So what happened here was it was all approved by state 911 grant. However, for some reason, some delay in the system, we didn't get that money. So Rebecca cut a hard check after conversation with Mr. Moriarty and the state. She has since received that money, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention that she did cut a check prior to getting the money, but the money came shortly thereafter.
So
So
everything's where it was, it should be,
everything's-
but
yeah,
it
that's
didn't
correct.
time.
That's correct.
Okay,
I do have one small thing for the payroll as well.
okay. So you drew our attention to large items, but there's nothing,
Everything else seems to be ordinary expenses.
but these are ordinary, they're just higher because they're a quarter rather than a
Correct.
monthly. So they're
Correct.
just higher level amounts that you wanted to.
Correct, so the board knows.
Okay.
Carol, I know that you and I have talked about it briefly, but I think it's something that's going to be part of my routine, if you will, is to go, as I receive these warrants, to go through them and see if anything sticks out. And if it needs explanation, we can certainly give that to you.
Yeah,
If I
please.
may, sorry. I know when I think Jean first started, we were getting the warrants emailed to us, and I think that stopped, or I haven't been receiving them. And I was wondering if that's something that could, if they're being emailed to you and Becky or anyone else, if
She was out sick, Leah, and
That's fine.
you mean the warrants being emailed or the expenditures?
the expenditures, sorry,
Okay, I've got to talk to her about that tomorrow, because I did not get one when she was out sick.
Okay.
So, yeah, you'll all get the updated.
Okay, and I just
Correct.
figured with vacation and everything, but I
Right.
also know it was kind of, there were still things closing out from 2022
Right.
and then starting in 2023, so
Correct.
I was just interested
I'll
to
make
see.
sure that, that everybody, we'll all get them tomorrow.
Yeah, no
Okay.
stress. Thank you.
My thought on that was we were getting them because it was closing out the year, so I didn't know it was going to be recurring, but I do agree, I'd like to see it be recurring too. So, all right, and you said something with payroll.
Yes, you have a supplemental payroll there that alls I can find or say after talking to Becky and Jean both is that something was lost in the shuffle. So you have a supplemental pay to be signature authorized, obviously signed for one employee from dispatch.
Could you explain more?
All I can say, it was lost in the system. We can't explain why he didn't receive a check, but he has since received that check. Becky did give him a check, but we have the supplemental payroll.
So we missed an on-cycle check
Yeah.
and had to write an off-cycle
Correct.
check. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? No. Okay. All right, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Clock eye. Galvin aye.
Nichols eye, excluding any COA wages.
Waitman, I.
And Benoit aye.
Thanks for the clarifications, Gary, too.
You're welcome.
Motion to approve the minutes of August 8th, 2022,
Is there a
as
second?
written.
As written. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Clock eye. Galvin aye.
Nichols abstain.
Waitman, I.
And Benoit aye. Thank you. All right, is there anyone here for public comment? Yeah.
Two things. Do we have a closing date yet for the RDIC property?
I haven't heard anything.
Nor have I. I have not heard.
HPDD approved their plans a while ago, and could somebody get some information?
I heard a couple of weeks ago they were getting ready to
I
close.
heard they were
have not
close,
heard.
Karen. I did talk to Mr. Sullivan, but I was not given an exact date, so I will reach out to him tomorrow and see what I can do.
Yeah,
Okay?
because this is supposed to close 2 years ago.
Okay.
Eventually, we need to know when this is going to happen. And then, we've had a full-time town administrator here since 2015. Rutland citizens are concerned that the process to hire a firm for hiring a new full-time town administrator has not started yet. We would like to request that the board begin the selection process for such a firm. Just a statement.
Okay, so are you speaking on behalf of you or others, or?
There are several of us that have, they just know I come to the meeting every week.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Karen. All right. Mr. Moriarty is not here yet. Scott?
I'm sorry, Mr. Moriarty's absent. Something come up and he won't
He
be
is
attending.
absent. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Gilroy, it's you.
Not a whole lot compared to years and months past, but, so if anybody cares, we're at 3 active cases right now, and it's usually between 3 and 7, never really jumping up or, going away. And a lot of that has to do too with people are, taking at-home tests too, and then, they're not telling anybody or they're not, putting it into the system, like letting a doctor know or something like that. But it's, the numbers are still small. We are planning on doing with our annual flu clinic, we're gonna do a COVID clinic. We're trying to find a partner, and I think it may end up being, hopefully, Rutland Pharmacy. In the past, we've used, and for those of you who don't know, about 5 years ago, the state said that we could not give flu shots to adults, only children. We, meaning the town, unless we fully paid for it ourselves. So we ended up partnering with Walgreens. Walgreens has come back to us this year and said, we can't do it on a weekend, and that's when we normally do it, because they don't have enough folks. So we've talked to Fred over at Rutland, and I think that's going to be a go. So when we get that all settled, we'll get dates and all that. We're shooting for November 5th, Saturday, but again, until we get everything settled, we'll know. And then we're going to do just normal flu shots, then we're going to do boosters only for COVID shots. And we're probably going to do ages 6 and up. I don't think we want to do the real younger. We'd rather let them go to their pediatric doctors and things like that. So we'll put that out, and that'll be a 1 day, probably 3 or 4 hour, and you can get both if you want. Get one, get the other, however you want to do it. So we're shooting for November 5th, Saturday.
Okay. Because I don't have a calendar right in front of me, do you know when election day is? Is it the following Tuesday, Monday? Okay.
It's always the...
I'm just, here I am thinking, if we give people shots and they get any residual sickness from them, I don't want them to stay home from voting. So I'm just wondering,
It's Tuesday, November 8th.
So it is just the following Tuesday. I don't know. If there's any way to do it the week before, I don't want
I-
anybody to not be able to.
I know the week
vote.
after is that Veterans Day weekend, and now we found out that schools are off both Friday and Monday, so people are going away in droves.
Okay.
So we can't do it the weekend after, and I think the weekend before coincides with Halloween. So I think we were unfortunately locked in, but, we can look.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do.
Just,
And we just don't want to push
Crazy.
it too far, because,
Then it's
we're
season.
hearing they want you to get your flu shot earlier and earlier, and November seems to be, right before they start
okay,
saying it's too late type deal.
like I said, just me.
Yeah,
being
yeah,
crazy.
I'll definitely, we're meeting tomorrow, so, we'll see what we can do and figure that out.
All right, thank you.
And then, when you would ask me, so I'm just, you guys asked, and I don't know who gave you the paperwork on the tattoo. So basically, I'll just fill you guys in. A couple of months ago, we were approached about someone who wanted to set up a shop within another already existing business to do medical tattoos, basically eyebrows for folks who've lost their eyebrows due to cancer treatments, what have you. And they just said, we're interested, and they asked us about it. So we have nothing as a board, the Board of Health. We have no, we had no anything set up at all. So we're just doing that to align ourselves and be ready if somebody should come and ask for an application, we have it. Because we didn't have any, permit fees, we had nothing set up, so that's what we're doing. So how you got that, maybe it's just, Lynn may have copied you, because we're voting on that tomorrow to just kind of, is that I don't even know what you have, is that?
It's a fairly lengthy, it's your actual policy, I think.
If I may, so Lynn stopped by last week and she mentioned that the Board of Health was going to be voting on this coming week or looking at it. So she thought that the Board of Selectmen would at least want to know.
That's
about
probably what it
this.
is. So yeah,
Yeah, because
that's what it is.
something
We're
totally
voting on this just so we have regs, because right now we have nothing, and so we're at least setting up regulations, so, and again, nobody has come and asked for, a permit yet, but at least we have regulations in place as my board, if that should happen.
Do you know if there's any zoning, through the chair, any zoning requirements?
I don't, we've kind of just been taking care of the Board of Health piece, just to be ready. And I don't know if this person has gone to other boards to say that they have interest in that, and maybe they have, but I honestly don't know that.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yeah, please.
Are these typically pretty standard from town to town, or like state?
So it's becoming more and more now. Actually, we took a little bit from a couple other towns and to put our regs together,
Mhm.
but I can tell you 5 or 6 local towns have just either added it in the last year or so. So, but from what I'm hearing, it's also, it's a business, but it's also been done out of homes too, just because there's, that, so many people have had that need for it and wanted for it, so.
So do you, I don't know that you know the answer to this, but I'm thinking something like this may need to go to our legal, just if everybody's signing off on it, I don't know if the people that you've, cut and paste from, if you know that they have passed it through legal.
I don't know if, I don't think we've involved town council at all, no.
So is this like a company thing or something?
It's just a footer on the bottom of this, right?
I'm sorry, again, I didn't even really, I
I know.
know, we put it
We're just
together and we were
like-
voting on it.
Yeah, no, that's just a,
Yeah, that's just the foot on the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how did you come up with the fee?
Yes, and off the top of my head, I don't have, but I believe what it was, if it was gonna go into an existing business, a la a hair salon or something like that, we were gonna be $50, and if it's gonna be an at-home type deal, it's gonna be $150. And don't quote me on that, that's just off the top of my head. And that would be, we would give them that way.
And how does this align with other policies that you have?
As far as fees?
As far as fees,
Pretty much, like if someone has an in-home baking or somebody does, has a business or they're a caterer, it's on the same idea,
okay.
about the same.
And I just, because I've not seen one from Board of Health come through before my time, everything's in place to collect these fees and it
Yes,
has
yeah,
a whole-
it goes into our normal
Nothing
system.
has to be increased or, because I know that some of I don't know if it's a revolving fund or if is it just going to the general fund or, do we know?
That goes into the revolving, because
You
they
have
have
a
to be,
revolving fund.
Rich has to go and, check them out and, make sure everything's up to code before he can give a permit. And that's, how, same if somebody, had cupcakes in their house and they had a, their own bakery in their house and they sold them, at fairs or whatever, Rich does the same thing. We charge the fee, it goes into the account, and he gets paid out of the account.
Okay.
It gets paid through Viewpoint, like the
Yeah, once we set it up, it'll go right to Viewpoint, so folks could, if they had to, they could do it online.
I know this isn't for voting or anything, but does anybody have any questions specifically about this? About the process of a new policy? I know that the Board of Health is an elected board.
I just wanted to say thanks for offering an avenue for businesses to kind of evolve and continue coming in, and an avenue for there to be checks and balances on those businesses also. So I appreciate that from Board of Health perspective to, encourage it, but also streamline it so that there's a process.
Yeah, and we've in the past, we've done this with other, again, keep going back, but when folks have had their own, like a professional kitchen at home and they sell it at fairs or something, we added that 3-4 years ago too. Same thing.
Thank you. And I'm known to say this at least every other month. I ask a lot of questions if I don't know what's going on in the answers. I ask.
Honestly, this is probably a 2-month process. It's that new, so we just wanted to get ahead of the game, and so if somebody
Great.
wanted to come in, they're not waiting on at least the Board of Health for that.
Thank you for being proactive then. Anybody else?
I mean, it's quite lengthy for somebody who especially if somebody just wants to do eyebrows and simple tattoos and stuff. There's a lot of details in here about the lighting.
When I think
and
it comes to things like that,
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to be, because
yeah,
there's so many, issues that could happen.
right. If it was a
Sanitary things like
full-blown
that. Yeah.
tattoo parlor,
Right.
I could see.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
and like I said, the only thing I would wonder about is the zoning. I don't know anything about that.
And
That's
yeah,
not,
like I said,
and I know that's not your issue. That would be whoever tried to get a permit. So,
Okay.
but through the chair, I do have on the COVID test,
Yes.
Scott, the home test. Are you finding a lot of false positives, negatives, issues
more
with
false
that?
negatives than positives. In fact, I think CDC may have even put something out that they suggest that you take it 2 or 3 times, not in the same day, but, maybe 2 or 3 days in a row just to confirm if you really have symptoms,
Yeah. I mean, I've just heard a lot more talk about
Yeah.
them being not so accurate at home. Though.
Yeah, I think, it probably comes with, them rushing to get something out, and they took the best that they had, and, I guess going forward, other at-home tests will be better,
Thank you.
And they're free. We have them everywhere in town.
Every door you walk
Boxes
through.
of them, yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of them.
yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
that's wonderful, thank you.
Go into the town hall, and they're on tables everywhere.
Wow, okay. It's good to know.
Some people have candy dishes. We have.
Exactly.
Well, it's great for families, when if you're panicked about testing a child, and to have them readily available is really wonderful.
Anything else for us?
I believe that's it. Like I said, it's a lot slower and not as exciting as it was.
Slow and not
Not a
exciting
bad
is
thing.
good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not a bad thing. In your line of work, not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything from the board?
No,
for-
thank you.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Town administrator update.
Okay, I've got a few things, quick ones. I finally today spoke with the municipal liaison between Spectrum and the town of Rutland from the Massachusetts Department of Telecommunications and Cable, and that's to do with the cable license, which is due to expire December 31st of '24. I guess we have talked with them in the past, the state. I have not talked to Spectrum, but now that this gentleman has been involved with us, I expect it to be a lot easier of a process. So right now, we're working on what they call a formal license, which is simply the license that exists. And 6 months prior to the expiration, we have to start working on what they call the informal, or the license with any suggestions or needs that the cable advisory may need. They're very appreciative that we're starting this as early as we are, although the letters we have received have stated that we should have started quite a while ago. And I've talked to Paul Mattson and Peter Crane about this several times. The good news, Paul, is they told me that in most cases there would not be a need for legal. If they don't hear anything from us as far as ascertainment, then they will automatically send us 6 months before expiration a formal proposal. So you and I and maybe Peter, or yourself and Peter, should sit down and go over any needs. I think the only thing that you and I talked about was HD. So this guy was very helpful. He did send me his contact information. He will come down and meet with us all. So I think that's the best way to go.
Okay.
Just to let you know. Okay?
Thank you. Appreciate your effort.
Oh, you're welcome. Also, in a separate, and if there's no questions about that one, in a separate matter with Spectrum, Tamika and I have been going over some charges on the bills which appear to be out of sync a little bit, as per the agreement that was signed several months ago, last October. So they did finally assign us an account representative who was coming in to see you and I. Her name is Tammy Crow, and you now have her contact information, or you'll have it tomorrow when we talk, and we'll set that up and try to get to the bottom of it. Okay, that's just a brief report. Also, I thought Mr. Williams would be here tonight, but I did. As you know, I've recently attended a ZBA meeting regarding the ongoing issue of the clapboard at Dunkin' Donuts. I did get a response back from Walcott Marshall and from the owners of the building. I was told at ZBA that the new siding is vinyl. In fact, it is not. I actually went over there and checked it myself. It is the same material they used in the initial construction. Thereby they're classifying as a wood clapboard. However, not to be confused, it is a wood and concrete composite put up for longevity. I looked at where they cut the outlets out. I looked at a couple of scuff marks on the building. It's definitely not vinyl. So I did have a conversation with them, and they are going back to ZBA in the near future for another issue. I have asked them for the specs of this material just to have at that meeting. I will attend that meeting and just see if we can put this baby to rest. Okay? And the last thing I have is they are going to start up again a regional roundtable town administrator conference, and they're going to have it. They've always had it in Auburn, and they're going to continue that. And hopefully they're going to start that again this coming Wednesday. Had nice conversations so far with others. They will be. I'm looking at it as an opportunity to share, listen, and ask questions. And they, on their docket, if you will, for things to talk about initially, will be things such as collective bargaining, personnel policies, possible regional initiatives, and also ARPA. So I'm looking forward to meeting that. That'll be Wednesday afternoon. So I believe it's at 1 o'clock. So if anybody's looking for me Wednesday afternoon, I won't be in the office, Tamika, but we'll talk.
Noted.
And that's all I have.
So thank you. I don't know if everybody understood the second Spectrum item that Gary was speaking about. Do you remember when, Tom, you weren't here, so for your edification anyway, Mike Moriarty, Paul from CM Geeks, they worked with Spectrum to get fiber run throughout town to places that it went down to this community center, it went out to the water tower, plant. It went to places that it didn't exist. All of that, we understood we were going to use ARPA money for it because it was a one-time expense. And at the end of the day, I don't think we were all on the same page, because we are getting humongous, love that word, right? So professional, humongous bills from Spectrum every month, which we're certainly going to run out of what we had allotted for Spectrum to be paying that. So we can't figure out where the disconnect is. We've gone back and looked at the contracts that were signed on behalf of the select board. We've reviewed the YouTube videos where we all discussed it. And I'm afraid that the right questions weren't asked, so nothing was said, maybe. But that's what I believe you're speaking to a specialist now about, to find out how we can get on the same page and try to
Yeah, it has to be
reel
cleared up.
something in, because we're gonna this huge bill at the end.
If I may,
Mm.
do you know, because I remember the original conversation, and these are just ballpark numbers. It was originally like for a 3-year agreement. They were going to do the internet to the community center and then to the water treatment plant. And originally it was supposed to be like 120 or 140,000, and then it came back and it was going to be 190,000 or something. But it was still for that 3 years, and that was inclusive of all the services and everything that we would need for the 3 years with the equipment and the upgrades for everything. And so what you're saying is that we're being charged more than what that would work out to be.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And I don't know
it's
if it's an
238.
accounting error on their side.
244.
224.
Through the chair, everybody on the board questioned that several times. There were a lot of concerns that
Yeah.
those figures would not be accurate, so that.
Yeah.
So
And I think we were pretty, sorry to
no, go ahead.
I think we were pretty clear to say that we were authorizing it at that dollar amount for those terms, and not because we were frustrated. I remember how frustrated we
Yeah.
were that it came back at a higher amount than what we were originally told, and it wasn't going to be what they originally told us it would be, and all of this stuff. So
I think we left those meetings thinking even at the higher rate, it was all inclusive.
Right.
This is the amount of money, we're spending it for 3 years, nothing else, end of the bill, end of everything. In
right.
3 years, we were going to reevaluate. And I think that Spectrum was not on that same page.
And then whatever was
And then whatever was signed on the board's behalf was
Also,
not complete, I think.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moriarty and Mr. McKenzie are going to be at that meeting as well.
So, yes, sir.
Peter Crane, Nate's Way. I'm a little confused. Gary, with your introduction, I thought this discussion about Spectrum was about the licensing agreement for cable television.
No, that was
No,
number
no,
one. Number
oh,
two.
this is a separate, okay,
Yeah,
I
number
missed the
two
context. I
was,
apologize.
yeah, no, number two was when
This is
when we started getting bills for Spectrum, and
Right.
Tamika said, Carol, this is huge. And we poured over the bills, Tamika pulled past bills that we could look and see, what was lining up, and it was like one line that we were aware of, and then there was hundreds of dollars at every site, because we now have 6, it's a culminated bill, but of 6 different places throughout town.
Right, and so basically, if we were, based on the monthly bills we're getting now, it's going to total approximately $244,000 for the next 3 years. And only $191,000 of ARPA funds were allocated for this, which
Right.
included the installation.
So,
And that was really, I think, about 100,000 more than what the original.
Yeah,
quote
originally it was
was.
149, and then they came back for almost another 40,000. It was like 38,000 each year, so then it ended up being the 191.
Right.
And then when we started getting the new bills a couple months ago,
You're like,
it's like, oh, maybe the first one's a fluke. I called, they were like, oh, yeah, no, that's because we have the 6 locations. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And then we got another one, and so it's approximately $70,000 a month for the bill. Yeah, which is not what everybody was told
right.
for just like regular.
Right.
bill. So that's when I kind of raised the red flag and
Thank
said
you.
something's going on. So fortunately, it took a while to find a representative to actually speak to, because they kind of bounced us to different people, and, but it sounds like
Was it
Gary
Cassidy
able
or
to get
whoever
it.
that
Right.
first person was?
Yes.
And it's out of my hands
Exactly.
because it's closed and done and it's moved on to, so, but what I'd really like to do is to get her sitting there and say, tell us again what you said. Because she's the one who presented it, so.
Sounds like our monthly battle with our own personal spectrum bills.
Yes.
The same
And our
thing.
annual, just, it's.
Not 7,000, but.
It's a new year,
not
we're just
far.
going to increase you $10 a month, and next year we're gonna increase you $10,000.
And hope you don't
$10,000.
notice and just, automatic withdrawal.
Good. Thanks for catching that, because I know that was a huge conversation when we were doing it, and we kind of felt we didn't have any other choice based on the timing, as well as the fact that there aren't any
Things
other
were going off
service.
service,
Right.
End of life
Right.
things, and.
And we were very, I thought, on our side, as clear as we
Yeah.
can
I-
be, that this
I'm not-
was
I don't think it was from this board side or
Yeah.
even,
the town side.
well,
Yeah.
some of the time. We can talk about that. But anyway, all right, so I just wanted to bring everybody up on that because
Yep,
it is a
okay, thank
big
you.
deal.
Thank you, that's a lot of money.
So, thank you for everything that you're doing to
We're gonna fix it.
track it down.
Uh,
That is Tamika's motto. I'm gonna fix it.
Fix it.
Through the chair, this isn't on the agenda, but Tamika had sent out information regarding the Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So if that's possible, I'd like to make a motion that we do a proclamation for September being Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
Second.
So first we need a motion to add it to the agenda, and then we can do a motion for the proclamation.
Okay, I was trying to just sneak it in because it was the town administrator that sent it out on his report. But all right, I make a motion that we add it to the agenda, as it was just, we only got it a couple days ago. You always gotta catch me.
How do we get it?
I'm questioning that too.
I have no problem, but I didn't get any update from Gary, and all I got from Tamika's email was what we have in our packets. So if there was another email, I wasn't on that.
No, I think we sent it.
In
It
the
was
same-
late Sunday night. I think I just sent it out last
Yeah,
night.
it just
actually.
came out maybe yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
I don't
last
have
night,
it.
Sunday night.
I mean, I'm looking
Well,
at my email right now. Anyway, I have no problem with it. I just was not sure how it came.
Yeah, I got it the same way I think Lyndon got it, because I didn't send anything out, you sent it to me.
No, it came to you and I.
Yeah.
But it was addressed to Carol and
Right.
Lyndon. So I forwarded it
Mm.
out to them.
Oh, maybe, I thought you sent it to the entire board, maybe you didn't send it out? You just-
No, I initially just sent it to you guys.
Oh, okay, so we do that a lot, so there's not a quorum, right? So it's not a conflict of open meeting.
So it came from a company called Kids Cancer Connection, Inc. And I guess I'm concerned because some of the prototypes or the other forms that they've sent, the other people that have done it in other towns, and it's an international. I think they say that the Lions Club International and Childhood Cancer Initiative support it. I guess there's nothing against a proclamation because of I'm just wondering who we're doing it under. And I've never heard of this
Well, I don't think there's any,
organization before.
through the chair, I don't think there's any obligation. They give examples of several towns that have done it, and then it's just acknowledging that the month will be dedicated to causes that are supporting, fighting childhood cancer, in my opinion. We're not committing any kind of, we're just making the proclamation that September will be.
I think we can. We need to. We didn't.
Well, actually, we need to ask-
We need to put it on the agenda. So
Okay.
we have a motion to put it on the agenda. Did you second to put it on the agenda? So a roll call for putting it
Clark, aye.
on.
Galvin, aye.
Nichols Eye.
And I
And Benoit, aye. I'm okay with doing this as long as we don't name a company or a new.
Oh, no, no,
corporation or
my
something like that.
recommendation was
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
September is Childhood Cancer Awareness
Yeah,
Month.
no, I-
So,
'cause,
n-
yes.
Not tied to any specific,
Because everything that I'm looking at, though, they all
Right.
mention, whereas
Right.
the American Cancer Society and this other place proclaim this and that and the other thing. But
I have no problem, but I think one of the things I had talked to Tamika once we got the lights for town hall kind of figured out, the changing of the lights, was being mindful of what the big kind of national days of or weeks or months or whatever are, and not that it's every little single thing, but that kind of as a town we acknowledge some. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with this, but I just want to make sure that we're not excluding anything else that may come up in September. And we also don't have funds, like we're not contributing any funds, so we're acknowledging that it's that September is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month or whatever, but we're not collecting any funds on behalf or
Right.
suggesting anyone is contributing to that or anything.
correct.
right, we're just creating awareness.
I'm okay
Right.
with that.
Yes. September is also, or I wasn't aware that it was that month, but September is National Suicide Prevention Month. And with the new hotline that's been introduced in our state, that's just something else you might want to be aware of, that you might want to issue a proclamation around or support within the town, just for more awareness.
You know, like to Leah's point that there are just so many,
Yes.
like,
Yeah. So I mean,
Is there a limit?
no, there isn't, but if we want to, it does get tricky because we don't want to exclude anybody, obviously.
No, but if you brought it up, that's,
and I think
Well, when Patty does her presentation, she can ask that we acknowledge it, and we won't have to we won't have to add that to the agenda. You can add it because you're already on the agenda, right? So,
and I think one of the things, that I personally struggle with is how much to honor, and then we can't honor every single thing, and just because it's important to one person or a small group doesn't necessarily, and not to say that it's not meaningful or that it doesn't have value, because I'm not saying that at all, but it gets very time intensive and cumbersome and a lot of triage work to say, okay, well, this is this, this is this, this is this. So I think the town has kind of, I don't know, participated or sponsored, Patty lives in town and has a very local connection with the Alzheimer's walk and everything put on through the Council on Aging and everything. The town's done that kind of support, but for some of the other ones that are national and well known and well fundraised throughout Greater Worcester County and everything, I don't know that the town has a specific, I don't know. Does the town have a group doing a walk or putting on an event for something? Where do we draw the line? I think it can get messy. I don't want to.
I also see the other side of it. It could get so big that it dilutes the
Right.
importance of some of these things. So I'm wondering, is this something that, I mean, we could certainly do this because it's in front of us. We could do that because it's going to be in front of us, and maybe that's part of our
Goals and
going
objectives.
forward goals and
Mhm.
objectives. It's a smaller portion of what we do, but
I mean,
how do we handle them? Do we just put out something on the website and we put something out on the sign? Because otherwise we could have 5 proclamations at a meeting and be reading every one of them,
Right.
which is, it takes,
A lot.
it's 2 or
Right.
3 minutes. I know it's not a lot, but
I that's kind of where I'm going. I don't want to devalue anything or say something has more importance than something else, because I think everybody has things that are important to them.
Thank you. I think one of the things, working in the education system, we have these conversations about what are our platforms going to be, what are we going to stand for. So we tend to select things that are obviously around student issues. And I think that is maybe something that as a town we need to think about, what do we want to represent and honor. using that platform, so
Thank you.
another conversation.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a bigger conversation. I think it's well worth spending our time doing it sometime. How do we want to handle this one that's on
Well, I mean, I guess my point is if somebody comes to us and asks us to do it, and it's not a big deal,
the... Right.
because it's really just saying, and like I said, hopefully Patty will make the same recommendation when she. But we could still say that that we're going to recognize that September, whatever things, if people want recognition, it doesn't cost us anything to recognize it, and we have done a lot of proclamations. Actually, every Friday night. I mean, you could do one at these concerts. Somebody can just read the proclamations. It creates awareness, and if it's not a big ask, I don't think it's a problem, as long as you're not fighting against organizations, and especially, like I said, I didn't realize it, but yeah, if it's National Suicide Prevention Month as well, I mean, certainly around Patty's Walk or something like that, it would be an appropriate time to do a similar type thing, or at her walk.
Okay. So one more point about this email is they're asking for a copy of the proclamation, and they're also asking to receive the original in the mail, which then, does that say that we're going to post it for the world to see the town? I'm not sure who these people are. And to do this, I would say that we need to ignore this email and the request from a particular company and a corporation and do it on our own. I don't know who this person
I'm fine to
is.
table this, because to be honest, I don't want to conflict. Like I said, I'd be more happy to do it for somebody that has an event going on in town right now. I don't want to ignore this, but if we know that there's something going on in town, it's more appropriate to try to acknowledge it at that time, just to bring more awareness to that particular event.
Yeah, I guess I don't necessarily feel that comfortable, since I didn't see the email or anything. I don't feel that comfortable knowing what.
Right. No, I apologize. I thought it went to the board.
No, that's
so that's why I
okay.
brought it up.
Can you send that to me?
Yep. I will send it to you separately. But no, I'll send it with a disclaimer.
So I'll withdraw my request at this time, and if we want to discuss it, put it on a later agenda, I'd be fine with that.
Thank you.
Now, can I make a motion that we take number 78 out of order, since Patty and, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Donna are here, unless anybody has any objections. Because it doesn't seem like anybody else is here. Although, I better check first, because I don't know who that is on the... Do we know who's on the iPhone? Does anybody object us taking it out of
No.
order? Or just-
Makes sense.
I don't object at all.
Because I'm sure they have better things to do than to listen to
Well,
us.
it was a really fascinating evening when we come over here.
Wow.
It really
We
is.
appreciate you come back and actually listen to
Yeah,
us.
well, we said next year we're bringing snacks. That's what
Yeah.
we said. Next time we'll bring you all.
Okay, so Tamika, did we just say no action and that's done?
Well, I withdrew my
You
request.
withdrew the motion to put it on?
Yep.
Like we never said it?
Well, no, we still have a motion to add it, but he just withdrew his motion to make the proclamation. So I'll just note it as such in the minutes.
Well, then I revised it to add it, and then I withdrew that too, so we can just, right? It's all
Right.
null and void, because I withdrew all my motions, right?
Stricken from the record.
But then Tom has to withdraw his motion as well to add it to the agenda.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you have to rescind your second.
I withdraw my second.
I think it's important that it was on, because we talked
do.
about
We
it.
didn't vote on it,
I
right?
do. I would just say,
No.
I would just prefer to say that no action for further discussion or something like that, so we don't lose it.
You got it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Aaron Roberts rules.
All right, so we're going to go on to new business. Hope lives here.
Wonderful. Where would you like us? You want to come?
Right there is fine, as long as you.
Oh,
is-
well, I'm going to
You don't
stand
have
because
to.
I
There's
always
plenty
say
of
more.
room.
Yeah. We'll turn so we can see everyone. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. I'm Patty Ann Inwood. This is Donna Fiskburn, and we are volunteers from Hope Lives Here, which is a nonprofit organization located in Holden, Massachusetts. its beginnings are humble here from Rutland when I lost my son in 2015 to suicide, which pairs it with our conversation we were having earlier. So Hope Lives Here began in 2015. Donna lost her son also. What year was that, Donna?
2018, October.
Yeah, so we know what it is to live with a piece of your heart. And that's our mission at Hope Lives Here, is to help those that are going through the grieving process just carry the weight of that a little bit. And we really try and focus on the hope part, because you need that when you're going through these dark days. So the last time we came here, we were super excited. We were hosting our first Walk to Remember. It was an event specifically for our clients and our community, and to help them. And with your support and the support of our police department and the community, it was more successful than we could have possibly have imagined. We ended up with 400 participants, which was amazing. It was amazing, and we raised we raised $40,000, which was incredible. Far surpassed what we thought we were going to do. We were able to take that money and, wait for it, drum roll. We bought a printer for Hope Lives Here. We put doors in our space where we had hanging curtains. We got the internet, which are all very big things for a nonprofit. And we were also able to hire our first employee. She's part-time. She's an administrative assistant, but she's also a Rutland resident, as well as one of our clients. So it's just been this beautiful, full circle experience for us this past year. So we're really excited. We're going to have our second walk.
Yes, we are.
Donna had the biggest team last year. She brings all of this amazing community. And it's going to be in the same location. We're going to do a 3-mile walk run, starting at Glenwood and making our way down the rail trail, up past the cemetery and back to the school. And we've already spoken to the police department, as well as Karen Capucci over at the school, and everything is a go. So we just wanted to come here today. It's going to be Sunday, October 16th. I have talked to the police chief and told him to try and schedule his open house for another day. He did his open house last year that same day, and we were hoping they could send a team over. They have a lot of runners and walkers there, so we would love for them to send a team, but he's going to do his own thing. It's okay. I love Chief Monaco. And I think that's really it. So we're really hoping that we can create some awareness within our communities and have just as good a turnout, and hopefully help some hearts along the way.
If I may, and I can't remember last year, did you have any plans for like food truck or anything like festival type after?
So afterwards, last year we went to the Milk Room.
Yep.
We're very well connected. John and I are very well connected with the Garvey family, and this year they're having a music fest. So we're actually going to spread the love.
Spread the love.
And Donna was actually the daycare provider for the folks that run our home. Lilac Hedge. So this year we're going to go there afterwards. So we're sort of excited about that.
Yes.
Because we're still, helping Rutland businesses, and
That's nice and close to the school.
it's all.
too, so.
I mean, it's just all really wonderful, and it was great last year because so many people went to the Milk Room, and they got to know that business, and they've since been going, and now we're hoping to bring that same awareness to Lilac Hedge, and they've been very good supporters.
They're
to Hope
looking
Lives
forward
Here.
to seeing everybody and hanging out with all of us.
Yeah.
And not having it there takes the pressure off of you doing like another event,
Right.
post-event.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Correct.
nice.
And I think the nice thing is it just encourages, we can clean up Glenwood. We did a great job getting it, exactly like it was when we were there, and then just move the festivities to another location. So, yeah.
And it's all in town, so we're supporting the town too.
Yeah.
At the same time.
It is. It's wonderful.
No, that's great. I couldn't remember last year how it worked. I thought that there was something after, and I
Yeah.
just wasn't sure. So
It went very well. They had a really good turnout afterwards,
Yeah.
and that's why when Ann told me they were having the music festival, I was like, let's not even.
Yeah, that'd be too much.
You focus on that. We want it to be amazing for you, and we'll go to Lilac Hedge and make that happen. So we're very excited about it.
And one other question I have. Last year, did you guys have issues with parking also? Because I know that that's sometimes a soccer weekend, but I can't remember.
No, you know what happened is there was issues around parking on the street,
Yes.
separate from our event. We got talking about it that night.
Okay.
But no, parking was amazing.
Okay.
We used the upper field.
Yep.
We did hire a police detail, and they helped us just navigate getting the runners safely down to the rail trail, get that initial park done, and it went really, really smoothly. We actually had the football team from Tohoto, which is the district I work in. They came out and did all the parking for us.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
the team did a really great job keeping everyone in good order. So it was it ran beautifully. It really did. So we were super excited and just want to say thank you for allowing us to do this in my community, our community.
And did you want to ask us to do something that starts with a P?
Well, I wasn't. Yes, why don't we? I would love it. Let me just grab my phone so I can use the correct words. September is National Suicide Prevention Month, and if the board would honor the idea of issuing a proclamation to recognize that and create awareness in the town of Rutland for the month of September, it would be much appreciated.
So I would like to make a motion that the board do a proclamation for the town of Rutland recognizing September as National Suicide Month, and if possible, present something. If you want somebody to present something at your event.
I'm just having a little cry here.
Oh.
That would be really beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you all know with the news, being in the school system, it's rough out there right now.
Yeah.
So the more that we can do to create awareness and help with the stigma and just keep talking about it so the young people will reach out when they need it, the better off we will all be. You know, we gotta save the children.
And along with my motion, I'd also like to recommend that it be put on the sign as acknowledging it's the month. So.
That's
Second.
beautiful. Thank you so much.
Patty, are there any colors, specific colors that are associated with Suicide Prevention Month?
I want to say it's yellow, but I'm not sure. Can I look into that for you?
Yes, yeah, because
Yeah.
I can change the lights on Town Hall, the uplighting on Town Hall, so that we can make it set to that color.
Yes,
So
I
if
would
you wanna-
love that.
So I'd like to
Email.
ask the 300th if they can do it in September. And I'm wondering, because it is September is the month, and what also it's before the walk run, so it could generate some team building.
I love that.
So
It's the
Yeah,
same
we
as
could
Hope Lives Here, actually. It's teal and purple,
Okay,
green and purple.
got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
ask if they can do it.
I love that. Thank you so
And
much.
I was gonna wonder, similar, if on for the Friday night concerts or anything, if you had any information that if we can coordinate with the 300th to provide, and to Carol's point, potentially get additional teams registered or individuals or whatever.
Or-
But
Yeah.
I don't know how they feel
My
about
husband's
asking
glad
for
to show up.
donations.
He
or
loves any excuse to go uptown on a Friday night, for sure. No,
It
I
is
would
a
love
300th
that.
event, so
Right.
I
right, I was gonna say we
would,
would have.
I don't want to make any,
Right.
we can say,
Right.
we could ask,
Right.
you could,
Yeah.
you could ask.
Yeah.
But like I said, they've been acknowledging a lot of
yeah.
things for the board on Friday nights, so.
Yeah.
Patty, I can send you, was it Karen?
Yes.
Email me?
Yes.
If you want, I can send her the email address. Sandra Thomas, she's the one who runs the Friday night concerts for the 300th. If you would like her contact, and then if you wanted to reach out and just see
That's
if
wonderful.
there's anything possible on, one of the upcoming
Wonderful.
concerts.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's really wonderful.
Thank you, I would prefer that it goes directly
Yeah, I think
from you.
that's smart.
Anything that we can do on our side, whatever the date is that they decide, we'll have a proclamation.
Thank you so
that
much.
we can read it that night, but
And
let's
just
get it
to
done in
walk, you're welcome to
September.
walk.
I'm already
Right?
signed up.
Hey!
I tried to, but I couldn't do the Venmo thing or
PayPal.
whatever.
PayPal.
Last year I couldn't do it because I was doing the fire
Oh,
department open house,
yes,
but I
yeah.
didn't get conned into that this year.
Are they doing it the same day, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I keep trying to avoid
Chief
these
and I are gonna have
things.
to arm wrestle over it again.
I didn't know prior, so I didn't get out of it. But
I know that you're still new at this, and
Right.
if he's been doing it for 20 years on that date, then
Yeah,
you
he's not.
might
I'm not
want to
gonna win that
consider moving yours.
but
I don't
you
know,
walk
but-
right by it though, right?
So
No.
we come out, what is
Like
the name?
10 to
Watson,
10
10
Road?
Round Watson.
Yes, yeah, we come out Watson,
Oh,
I think,
okay.
and go down, so just before then, but.
And also through the chair, I'd just like to note, if you don't follow Hope Lives Here, Patty writes very inspiring stories. They're worth reading.
Thank you.
They're-
Yeah,
I
I'm a
love it.
writer.
I shouldn't say I love,
It's on
I find it very inspirational to read your stories. They're
Thank you
very
so
good.
much. Well, you know what, I think it's, it's just more is more. That's all we say really. We just need to get more information out there, be more transparent about our own mental health, our own feelings, and hope that we can model what it looks like to handle all of our emotions with grace and hope. Yeah.
And helping everybody helps us too. At the same time.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I love that.
So we have a second to do a proclamation and a roll call.
Oh,
Well,
I'm sorry.
I don't think we got a second.
Oh, I thought-
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
it's
Good.
good. Yeah, thank you.
I can come and skip.
Turn up your hearing aid.
Galvin, aye.
Nichols High.
Whiteman, I.
And Benoit, aye.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll keep you posted. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks, Tamika.
For camera, what's the, do you want to say the national number?
It's 988. 988 is the new number. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. Of course. All right.
Thanks.
Thank
Have a
you
good night.
so much.
So I guess we're up to old business. We have a revised one-day liquor license application process that we're looking at. Tamika, did you want to, is there an update on that?
So I sent out to the board, I also put in a Google Drive, the responses that I got from Maya when I reached out to her. And a lot of her responses on both this and the next item were basically kind of to talk to legal about it. She said it's really at the town's discretion. There is an option, there's a company, I forget the name of it off the top of my head, where the town could go and get coverage if a business that was doing a one day didn't have liability insurance. But that can kind of open up another, I don't want to say can of worms, but it just kind of adds another facet to it that would really be at the board's discretion if they wanted to get involved in that, or if you would rather just say if you don't have the insurance, then it's not going to work type of thing. So basically the update is just if you guys, what you felt with what Joanne said, if we wanted to ask legal about it, whatever you guys think is best.
So are we doing anything currently that is in violation? If we require that somebody who wants to do a one-day license has to come under a nonprofit, but if the nonprofit is the 300th, they're really the town. So if the vendor does not have insurance, we need to say no.
That is the gist of what I got, because if you don't say no, then it's basically on the town to go through this third-party provider, which is not Maya, to basically secure that insurance on their behalf to protect the town. So the cost would be passed on to that person. But for a one day, I don't know if that would be worth it for the town or for the person.
And
applying.
they were not forthcoming with quotes because it's individualized.
Right, exactly. She said I would have to contact this company every time that it happened, which could also further delay the process as well. There's no way to say how long that would take.
If I may, I'm trying to think back because I know the insurance piece has been kind of all over the place. And I think in some cases when it was a vendor looking to do a single day, the insurance piece almost became cost prohibitive for them to do it, if I'm remembering correctly. Whereas for vendors that do, a few throughout the year, it's more attainable for them to do because they can add it as like a yearly rider, I think, or something. And I think part of the question on my side was a way to make it so that the town is covered, but also feasible for nonprofits that are looking to do it as a fundraiser and not lose all of their, have all their revenue go towards the insurance piece. And it seems like there's not really a...
The tricky part with that is, if I can use the fire brigade as an example. So the fire brigade is technically the nonprofit. However, they are applying on behalf of like a Lilac Hedge or a Milk Room, and those companies individually have their own insurances. And under state law, you are not allowed to purchase alcohol at a package store and then sell it. So typically, I would assume that a nonprofit would still have to hire some sort of professional vendor who most likely would have that insurance there. I can't really think of a situation other than maybe like that St. Pat situation that you had brought up, but we weren't even really sure where the alcohol
Right.
came from because now we know state law says you can't just purchase it and sell it.
And I
So-
think that it was, in the past, it was a different vendor that had raised concerns about it becoming kind of a little bit cost prohibitive, a vendor coming in under a nonprofit, I think, for a one day event or whatever.
I know the fire brigade actually had said that, like they specifically had said that, 'cause I think it's like $750 for them to
Yeah.
get it for just that event. And but in this case it worked out because, like I said, they did it under Lilac Hedge and so that worked out. But I think, it's completely at the discretion of the board. But I would say, especially if the event is happening on town property. I think it's one thing if we're issuing a license, but it's being held at that person's site. But a lot of these one-day licenses we've been issuing have been on town property.
Right.
So that would be my concern.
Keeps us up to, I think we're opening ourselves up to
Right.
libel.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have the insurance. I was just wondering if there was an avenue for, but it seems like not really. I mean, not a
The only way would be to go through that third party, but there would still be a cost
Right.
associated
And
with it.
time.
So, in time.
right.
Yep.
So I guess though, what would Maya do for us if something happened and we were a second party on libel, on a legal suit? Did you have that conversation with
No,
her?
I didn't delve into the legalities of that, of what would happen if
I guess I'm just
it
wondering,
happened.
do we have enough insurance? And would it be an insurable, if we don't have the liquor license, but we had somebody that did have a liquor license, but, the lawsuit didn't stop with the vendor, or in the cases that we've had more than one vendor, which vendor, this was when we way back talked about doing this, was my concern about how do you know which vendor was the one that was responsible for the overserve, in if that was the case of an overserve. And then, if they have if they have the insurance, what kind of insurance does the town have to cover that? We wouldn't need a liquor license because the liquor license is already there, but I guess other kind of legal.
So I just want to make sure I understand what you're asking. You're asking if somebody has the insurance, but something happens and that person puts a claim in against the town as well as that vendor.
Exactly.
You're asking what
Exactly.
liability the town has.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think that was some of the clarification that we were asking, was that the town was added as as a
rider.
cover, like as a rider, either as a rider or as an additional insured or whatever. And even here in the comments that Tamika had gotten back under Part B, limits for the event should be no less than $1 million, and the town should be listed as an additional insured if the event is to be held on town property.
Which I think that would happen. If I looked back, I don't think that the town is being listed as an additional insured necessarily on some of those.
Because I think that's an additional cost.
Yeah, and that's I think where we had questions at one point, was putting in that the town was added as a rider or an additional assured, depending on how the policy was written, and I'm not super up on insurance policy language, verbiage.
So that's something we definitely have to decide and clarify if that's something that we're going to have.
It seems like it is clarified, but we need to make sure that
That it's happening.
that is happening. That when we get a copy of a copy of the insurance, that we're listed as.
And I think we should definitely add that explicitly on the application, because right now, the application just says, do you have insurance? And it's,
I think we could probably it wouldn't take us much thinking to think that if something tragic happened, they're not gonna go after Rutland. It happened on our property, we allowed it. It doesn't take much more than that. All right. And if they don't want, if a vendor wants to come, or somebody wants to come that doesn't have this insurance and they don't want to do it, then the answer is just no.
So we definitely want to have it so that anytime somebody has the insurance, which is the only time we'll accept it, is that the town is listed as an additional insured. And if it's an extra cost to them, then they'll have to absorb that cost.
As long as it's held on town property, yeah.
If it's on town property.
I mean, I
Okay.
think that pretty much that part B of the email that you had forwarded around that verbiage right there, I think is pretty much.
Leah, could you think of a time that it wouldn't be, that we would be approving a license not on town
Temporary
property?
ones that we've done on their sites, like the farms and stuff. that-
Okay,
yeah.
Yes,
when
I
they're on
And-
their
have one
sites.
coming in now. The 300 is going to be potentially hosting an Oktoberfest up at Schultz Farm. So the one-day liquor license would be for the event held
Okay.
at the farm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
didn't
even I think
of that.
the St. Pat's like Oktoberfest is held at the parish hall or the parking lot or whatever, but
Yeah.
they
We
still
haven't
have to-
done one since I've been on the
Right,
board,
absolutely,
so-
because they haven't done it. So that's what I was trying to remember
Yeah,
where that came in versus the one days that we've been doing for the town events and everything and how they're
Yeah.
different.
I think
Well,
it's
but
because we
what-
had the 300 and the 4th, that it's like there's just been so many
Right.
events that have been
But
found.
I did think that we insisted that the town be listed on it when we did the town property ones. I thought we had those conversations.
I think we did for like,
It's been transmitted to the applicants when they're applying. I don't think that they're being reminded or told of that
so
in the past.
I think this is another thing where we need to have a, not just an application, but almost a cover sheet, not a, almost, I think we need to have a cover sheet.
Like a checklist.
Yep, yep.
and that it's explicit on the application that this is what you need and.
Yep.
Thanks, Tamika, for going through that.
Thank you.
So I'll be answering that question from Maya, and I'll make a couple updates. I'll create a checklist and then bring it to you guys the next time. And
Perfect.
that works?
Yes.
If it sounds, if I read this correctly, also, it seems like if a vendor wanted to, they could go through, it says Hospitality Mutual out of Westboro.
Yes.
And so and they deal directly with the general public, so it seems like a group could go directly to them to obtain that one day, or that insurance piece, if they wanted to continue with the event, but they didn't have the insurance or whatever, and so, yeah, I don't know.
You could
We
put
can
that
put
on
that
there,
on
you
the
could put that,
checklist.
you know, not, we are not endorsing this company, but we know of this company.
Sure. Good
But
idea.
it's up to them to do their,
Yep.
They don't have it, they don't get it, they wanna get it, they can check
But
this
we're
company
like-
or others,
but
but.
just to make it explicit that we're not endorsing the company.
Okay.
Alright. And the waiver for the volunteers?
Pretty much all of her answers on that one were talk to town council.
So if you're ready to talk to town council about that. And then you can come back with, and we'll look at that too.
Thanks, Tamika.
Yes, and it looks like, ABCC has approved Dolce Vita. We didn't-
roll.
We didn't do, what did we say last?
Hardee's convenience store last time.
Okay.
They both applied within like a week of each other, so their approvals are coming in basically the same time.
Okay, so do we need to take a vote to sign that?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Whitman seconds.
Go ahead, roll call.
Clock eye.
Galvin,
Nichols eye.
Whitman, I.
Lloyd, aye.
And just for clarification for the public, this is the Dulce Vita Catering Company at 24 Palmagussit.
Yes, thank you. There's also on the agenda, we had a resident coming in to speak to the board about the board's oversight on other boards and commissions.
I don't know, we don't know who that iPhone is.
That's not the person
I don't know.
on Zoom, is
But
it?
Nobody has spoken up.
Okay. So.
Do they know in the back if that's, I just don't
I
want
don't think
to,
they
if
can tell
somebody
anything
can't
more
connect
than-
or something.
They would say the same thing we do, and it just says iPhone,
Okay.
so if the person doesn't speak up, we won't know.
When we first started all of this, I know when Mike Nicholson first started, he used to ask for the identification to come up on
But
Zoom. so
it's,
that you
and it
always knew
used
who
to
it
be
was.
there, I don't know why it's
Right.
not, we had talked about, we don't know why it's not showing anymore.
It's because
The
depends
person didn't
upon,
type it
it
in.
depends upon the person who's filled it in and hasn't filled it in. You have to type in your name. You can type in, Mickey Mouse. It doesn't make a difference.
Or sometimes if you just call in with your phone number, then it'll
You
just,
just
show
say the
like,
phone number.
or you can hide your phone number and it'll put that it's a phone versus.
All right. We're on to goals and objectives. So we, Tamika, thank you for reaching out to the board to see if we could get on the calendar. It looks like we wanted to do it on an off meeting, off regular meeting, so that we didn't have a start time of 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So we are looking at September 12th, and I suggested that if we could certainly make it more casual, we'll put up tables and sit around the tables and chat. It is an open meeting. We can't have it be a closed one, but I'd like to offer pizza or sandwiches or something so we can just kind of have it be very casual and we can have something to eat, because I know myself, I don't eat until I go home, so.
Is this a brainstorming one or one with
It
the
is,
finance? Oh,
do
this
you
is
remember the last
yeah.
time that we did
Okay.
that? Yeah, so just the boards, the 5 goals and objectives that we looked at last year, we're gonna review them, see if we wanna keep them, add some more. We've already come up with some ideas today. I think there's, another one would be some policies that obviously we're finding are lacking. So I'd like to personally put that forward, but we're certainly not doing that today. And just an example of what we'll be talking about on the 12th. The other things is that I'm jumping down to future meetings. So September 6th, we can't do it on the September 6th though, Tamika, am I right? Because that is an election night,
Oh.
and we cannot have a public meeting on an election night. So we would typically be meeting on September 5th, but that's Labor Day. That moves it to the 6th, which is Tuesday after. We can't meet because it's an election night. And because we're meeting on September 12th, I thought that the one item that we could add to September 12th would be the Treasury warrant and the payroll warrant, and have it be no other business. Unless somebody thinks that we need to meet on a half, I mean, we would be moving it to
Wednesday at the earliest.
Wednesday at the earliest. And we're meeting again if something emergency came up. I know that we haven't done this before, kind of skipping a meeting, but getting.
And if I may,
Yeah.
approving treasury warrant and payroll on the 12th is
Or
still,
is it still too late? So I think that's, thank you.
I'm
Because we were
not,
talking about doing a quick Zoom meeting or something on that Wednesday. It doesn't need to be in person, it can be all on Zoom. We could just meet on that Wednesday. As long as we have 3 people, we can just approve the warrant.
I've always been told that the select board has to meet every 2 weeks to approve treasury warrant and
that's,
payroll.
yeah.
So my suggestion was just because, you know, they extended the Zoom policy, for lack of a better term. Technically, we could have an all Zoom meeting, just the only business be approving that, and then just hold all other business for the meeting on the 19th, if the board was amenable to
If
that.
the board is amenable, that's just me putting that out there. So we would be skipping a meeting, but just doing a payroll and warrant. And then if anything huge comes up before the 12th, we could add it on the 12th. I'd prefer to try to preserve that. And then we would meet again on the 19th. Any thoughts?
So no 6th,
No 6th, definitely no
12th.
6th.
19th, okay.
The 19th.
Well, the 7th
Well,
would
the
be a
7th.
Zoom for
Seventh.
payroll.
If we could
Well,
do that, yeah, just a quick Zoom.
If I'm, my question was gonna be to confirm with Becky that the 7th still isn't too late, and if we would need to do it the Friday before, what is that, like the 1st, or, you know,
Yeah,
the
that's,
2nd? Because I'm not sure when payroll has to go out from the town side to,
well, we just
So-
learned that the payroll goes out anyway.
right.
Well, they don't mail it, she prepares it.
No, the payroll goes out. The
Oh.
checks for the treasury, checks are held. Yes, sir.
I believe I need to correct one misstatement. There is nothing illegal about holding a meeting on a day where an election is held.
We've been told by the town clerk that if nothing
It
else,
is
it's in
been-
bad
It is
taste.
frowned upon.
Yes.
But there is actually no legal barrier to it. The only barrier is if it's on a holiday, and since election day is not a holiday, they can be held on that day. That is up to you for your consideration.
Well, we can put that back on the table too, if anybody wants to hold it on the 7th, the 6th, the way we had said. We can't be in this room because it is
Conservation Day.
occupied.
No, but you could still Zoom, if you can just do a Zoom.
Or you could just do a quick Zoom meeting.
Depending on the timing of when Becky needs it. I mean, I don't think that, I'm not speak for the entire board, but I don't think we care, as long as we meet whatever Becky needs for
Right,
a
that's-
deadline.
Because I know that, at least with the warrants, Becky just puts them on Jean's desk the next day, and Jean doesn't usually come until the following week. So I don't think that the warrants are emergent. It would just be a matter of confirming payroll.
When
But
do you
you're
get
right,
paid?
like
When do you get paid? What day of the week?
today, Mondays,
You get paid on Monday?
right?
So you would get paid the following Monday? So
Yes.
so you wouldn't get paid the 6th, the 6th, because Monday would be the 5th, so it would have to be paid the 6th.
You would get paid the 6th. Yep.
So even if you had a meeting on the 6th, it's too late because you wouldn't have approved payment.
No, but I think the pay's a week in arrears from.
Yeah, there's like a lag.
Right, exactly. There's
Yeah,
a, so
check.
you approve on a Monday, the paycheck is for the next week.
For the next Monday, so she has to send it 48 hours ahead of time. A minimum of 48 hours ahead of time, minimum. That's true of every payroll service.
I was like, I don't know.
48 hours, every payroll service.
I have no preference personally. If we don't have other business, then I would think doing a quick Zoom is totally fine. And even if it was like a couple other quick items that needed addressed, but not full out meeting. But I hate to say that there can't be any business in that week.
No, I agree.
You know.
I agree. And I hear what Peter said, but we've also been, it's frowned upon. So if the board
It's just,
cannot
yeah,
do it,
it's not
then we
really
won't do it.
appropriate, because there are people that work the polls and stuff like that. So like I said, I have no problem, especially a Zoom meeting, we can call that almost at any time, so, and then if there are issues that come up, you can call a meeting of the board,
How about, do you guys want to plan for an all-Zoom meeting on the 7th, and I can check with Becky, and as long as she says that that's fine,
Yes.
then we'll already have it in place?
And I did let you know.
Yeah. Someone takes a lot of vacations. Well, do we want it, so Lyndon just reminded me that he's not here on the 12th. I think, now that you've said that, and I did put 2 and 2 together, I'm sorry.
I'm not here that week, so
So
that's.
when is he gonna be available? We have to
So
plan
that's the
our
thing,
time around.
I-
No, I told
We
you.
don't
No, you
need
do
to
not.
do that, but I thought with the goals and objectives, we probably should be a full board.
I think so too.
See, now it's gonna be all about Lyndon. That's the way I like it.
It is all about you, Lyndon. So when are you gonna be available?
I'm just not here that week. Other than that, I'm all yours, Skip, whatever.
off my
Phone line? Oh, boy.
Carol's going, why is it not waking up?
Press
No,
the button
you-
and it'll
your
go back
calendar
on.
is not
I thought
on
you were
my-
looking at no, I thought
You
you were
don't have
looking
my
at
calendar.
dates, not actually.
You can turn your phone back on.
It takes too long and it'll make all kinds of alarming sounds.
So,
So the 26th?
26th is a Monday, yeah, but.
All right, so I think we're gonna put it up to the 26th if we can.
So wait, my head's spinning here. So
I
we have a
know.
Zoom meeting on the 7th
Yep.
at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock.
Then we have,
Regular meeting on the 19th.
and what was the 12th?
Nothing now.
Okay, so the 12th is canceled.
The 12th is now the
Move the
26th.
12th to the 26th.
All right, 12th to the 26th.
Are you here the 26th?
Are you going to be here the 26th?
I don't think so.
26th.
Okay. If something comes up and anybody thinks that we should have a bigger meeting on the 7th, please let us know.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know if anything comes up. As of right now, there's really nothing coming up.
Well,
in the
you know,
pipeline
we say
I
that
have, but-
on Wednesdays and
Well,
then
I'd
it's
probably
like
do
what
this
happens?
myself, I
Why?
guess, but-
The agenda's twice as long as it was when I left the office, so, all right. Is there any other business for the board?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Roll call?
Clock eye. Galvin eye.
Staples eye.
Whitman.
And Benoit, aye. Thank you, everyone.